you know that according to the CDC, in 2025, approximately 8,400 to 8,500 people passed away every single day in the US alone? Now, with the amount of people on this planet, that may not sound like that many, but when you consider that all of those bodies need somewhere to go, one must wonder, where do all of those bodies go to find their final resting place? Now, in the end, we're all going to die, and many of us may not realize it, but our choice in how we are laid to rest can have significant environmental impacts for the ones who live on after we are gone. The two dominant forms of disposing of human remains via fire cremation and embalming and casket burials are unsustainable due to the damage they cause our planet via CO2 emissions and groundwater and soil pollution. Now, I believe that by embracing alternative burial and cremation methods such as alkaline hydrolysis, green burials, and human composting, the harm done from traditional burial and cremation methods to our planet can be combated. Don't just take my word for it, I've got some experts here. According to Chemosphere, the traditional burial leads to the production of ions in the form of organic and heavy materials, bacteria and fungi, and viruses that spread along the soil and underwater. This mixed with the fact that, according to cremation.green, a single fire cremation can produce up to 540 pounds of carbon dioxide for a single fire cremation. That's one person. And with the amount of people dying each day, these things show us that these methods can lead to significant damage to the earth. All these factors combined make it imperative for us to make wiser decisions when burying our dead. Through this speech, I will cover why traditional burial and cremation methods are not sustainable for the environment, alkaline hydrolysis as an alternative cremation method and that's benefits, green burials as an alternative burial method and how it compares to embalming burials, and then the benefits of human composting as an alternative burial method and how new life can be formed from death, which is a really cool concept if I think about it. So I keep talking and mentioning the environmental impacts from traditional burial and cremation methods, but what exactly are those impacts and why are they bad? There are three main problems associated with these methods, and those are land scarcity, air pollution from cremation, specifically fire cremation, and soil contamination that comes from traditional burial methods. So, with populations constantly expanding, this leads to the need for more housing and other infrastructures to be built. This becomes a problem when cemeteries requiring vast amounts of land, roads, and other resources prevent this sort of expansion. And cemeteries themselves are also running out of room, with Arlington National Cemetery reporting that they are running out of space to bury our nation's heroes, and they will run out of room by 2060, even with the current expansion plans that are in place. And that comes straight from the Arlington Cemetery themselves. Simply speaking, there's not enough room to accommodate burying our dead in traditional burial ceremonies without significant expansion to these existing cemeteries, which conflicts with our need for expansion for urban areas of living. The second largest problem with these traditional methods is the air pollution that comes from fire cremation. So, as I previously mentioned, for every one person cremated via flame, up to 540 pounds of CO2 is released. This is caused by the high amount of fossil fuels needed to burn up a human body, mixed with the flame and the natural gases that reside within the body, such as CO2, carbon monoxide, and water, creating a massive amount of CO2 in the smoke that is then released into the atmosphere. This table from cremation.green shows us some of the environmental impacts at a glance. We can see 540 pounds from one single cremation is comparable to driving a car for 500 miles, which is a bit concerning. But yes, this is the table, and that comes from cremation.green. And yes, the third problem that associated with traditional burial methods is the contamination of soil and groundwater that comes from the embalming chemicals such as formaldehyde and arsenic. This is a major problem as these chemicals can seep from the caskets into the earth, leading to the contamination of the areas surrounding these burial sites. The caskets themselves can also be a problem, as there have been, as arsenic treated wood is a common casket material, which also presents a significant risk when introduced to the soil. This table that I'm showing on the screen is a visual representation of soil contaminations of formaldehyde and arsenic, and it was found via soil samples done by some students in Tennessee, and it was done over several cemeteries. This information highlights that while it can vary depending on the place, these amounts of chemicals are slightly alarming. So as you can see, and AS for context in this stands for arsenic. So there's quite a large amount of arsenic and formaldehyde being found in these soil samples and groundwater samples, which is very concerning, as I'm sure you can all imagine. Now, with this information, we know that these methods are unsustainable, and we must begin to start looking for alternatives. Thankfully, there are several to choose from. Alkaline hydrolysis, also known as water cremation, is a process in which the complex molecules that make up organic material are chemically broken down, and it is arguably economically and environmentally preferable method of final disposition according to the burial and cremation. And that comes straight from the Health Council of the Netherlands. So pretty high up there. So what does this process involve? The body is placed in a chamber with alkaline water solution and then boiled and dissolved over a period of several hours. In comparison with traditional fire cremation, this produces about 88 pounds of CO2, which when compared to the 540 from fire cremation is significantly less. So that's significantly less CO2 being released into the atmosphere per body. The family, instead of ashes, are given bone fragments, and this ends up being about 32% more remains than they would receive in a traditional fire cremation. And that comes straight from the Cremation Association of North America. Oh, I'm off camera. I have a short video that goes, kind of highlights what the remains you receive are from water cremation, and it does have bones in it, and I apologize if that makes you uncomfortable in advance.
Very pure and clean.
And you can look away if this makes you uncomfortable. I completely understand.
We have a prescribed amount of water that's added, and the alkaline we use potassium hydroxide. So we heat it up to about 300 degrees Fahrenheit, and the water is circulated through the remains and through the process.
All right. So that's that. And then another method of burial is simply known as natural burial or green burials. And this involves the process of a body being placed in a cloth shroud or a biodegradable casket, and then that is buried in the earth. It does not include the chemical processes such as embalming the body, and the body will decompose in the earth slowly over a long period of time. The process of natural burial can reduce the chances of groundwater and soil contamination due to the lack of those embalming fluids and not introducing foreign materials such as caskets into the earth. And yeah, so here's some examples of some beautiful green burials. All right, the third and final method I will be discussing today is what is known as human composting. Now, don't be scared, it's not as scary as it sounds. So essentially, it connects back to the idea that we can bring new life with our deaths. According to an article, From Death to New Life, the Ethics of Human Composting, human composting is defined as an organic material such as body, such as the body that is broken down to provide nutrients for soil that can be used for new organic life. This life can then grow plants for gardens, food for your house, and trees in front of the house. This often involves the body being placed in a vessel with wood chips or alfalfa, like other organic materials, and this will assist the body into becoming a new sort of soil that can produce new life. This process is, it speeds up the decomposition process in comparison to green burials so that the soil can be produced at a quicker rate. These alternative methods may seem jarring at first, especially to the loved ones of those who choose them, and potentially can even be seen as dehumanizing or disrespectful to some. But it is important that we remember that traditional methods such as injecting the body full of chemicals or setting bodies ablaze via cremation are just methods that we have become accustomed to, and we can learn to embrace new burial methods as well that will be better for the planet in the long run. The tragic reality of our world is that people die every day, and those bodies have to go somewhere. If alternative burial methods are not embraced, the world will begin to see the effects of greenhouse gases and from traditional flame cremations and groundwater and soil contaminations from embalming and casket burials. It is vital that we start embracing and destigmatizing alternative burial methods such as water cremation, green burials, and human composting to combat these effects that of the traditional way of being laid to rest affect the environment. Many of us seek to be environmentally cautious as we live. It's something many of us strive for throughout our lives. So if given the opportunity to make it so our world is a more sustainable place in our choice of how we're laid to rest, we should take it for the sake of those who are left behind. Thank you for your time, and I hope I have encouraged at least one person to consider alternative burial methods as an alternative. Thank you so much.